Hello everyone, myself Parul Bhatnagar, working as Assistant Professor in Department of BCA, IIMT College of Management, Greater Noida. Today I would like to tell you about functions in C programming. First, we come on the point function definition, then advantages of function, types of function, syntax of function, C function arguments and function return values, types of function according to arguments and return values, call by value, next call by reference, and last recursion. When we talk about functions, then first question come in our mind, what is function? A function in C is a set of statements that when called perform some specific task. It is the basic building block of a C program that provides modularity and code reusability. The programming statements of a function are enclosed within the curly braces, having certain meanings and performing certain operations. They are also called subroutines or procedures in other languages. Next, advantages of function. C provides various advantages of functions. Number one, reusability. Functions can be called multiple times from any part of a program, which reduces redundancy and saves time. Second one, modularity. Functions make code more modular, which provides readability and improves understandability. Third one, program organization. Function break large programs into smaller, more manageable pieces, making them easier to understand and track. Next, reduced program size. Function reduce the number of times the same statements are repeated, which decreases the program size. And the last one, abstraction. Function provide abstraction functionality. Basically, there are two types of functions in C. Number one, library function, and number two, user-defined functions. Number one, library function. Library functions are those functions which are already defined in C library. Or we can say a library function is also referred to as a built-in function. A compiler package already exists that contains these functions, each of which has a specific meaning and is included in the package. Built-in functions have the advantage of being directly usable without being defined, whereas user-defined functions must be declared and defined before being used. For example, POW, SQRT, strcmp, strcpy, etc. These are all the examples of library function. Second one, user-defined function. The function created by the user as per the need of the program is called user-defined function. Or we can say functions that the programmer creates are known as user-defined function or tailor-made functions. User-defined functions can be improved and modified according to the need of the programmer. Whenever we write a function that is case specific and is not defined in any header file, we need to declare and define our own function according to the syntax. The syntax of C function can be divided into three aspects. Number one, function declaration. Number two, function definition. Number three, function call. Number one, function declaration. First, we declare a function. In a function declaration, we must provide the function name, its return type, and the number and types of its parameters. A function declaration tells the compiler that there is a function with the given name defined somewhere else in the program. Here is the syntax of function declaration. First come return type, then name of the function. In between of brackets, we define parameters and it ends with semicolon. The parameter name is not mandatory while declaring functions. We can also declare the function without using the name of the data variables. Here we show function declaration example. We can declare function in two ways. Number one, here we declare a sum function which receives two parameters of integer type and return integer value. In sum, in between of brackets, we declare two parameters, int a or int b. Function declaration with parameter names. And second one, in sum, in between, we write parameter type. Here, we declare function without parameter names. If we write in sum, in this, int is a return type, sum is the name of the function. In between of brackets, we write two parameters, int a. Int is a parameter type, a is a parameter name, and which is ending by semicolon. Function definition. The function definition consists of actual statements which are executed when the function is called. That is, when the program control flow comes to the function. A C function is generally defined and declared in a single step because the function definition always starts with the function declaration. So, we do not need to declare it explicitly. The below example serves as both a function definition and a declaration. Here, first come return type, then function name. In between of brackets, we write parameter names and its type. In between of curly brackets, we write the body of the function or we declare working of the function. Let me show you with the help of example. Here, a function declared is int heading. Int is a return type, heading is a function name, and void is a parameter. And in between of curly brackets, we write the body of the function or working of the function. Let we discuss with the help of example. Here we show a sum function. It takes two parameters, is of integer type, and it returns integer value. This function adds two integer type of values and returns result as a integer. In main function, we call this function sum, and in parameter we pass two values 10, 30. It returns result is of integer type in add variable. When we print this value, then the result show on the screen is 40. Function call. A function call is a statement that instructs the compiler to execute the function. We use the function name and parameters in the function call. In the below example, the first sum function is called and 10, 30 are passed to the sum function. After the function call, sum of A and B is returned and control is also returned back to the main function of the program. Here we discuss with the help of diagram. Function call. We call function in two ways. Call by value and call by reference. First, we discuss about call by value. Call by value in C is where in the arguments we pass value and that value can be used in function for performing the operation. Values passed in the function are stored in temporary variable, temporary memory, so the changes performed in the function don't affect the actual value of the variable passed. Here we show call by value with the example. Here we make a swap function and call this function using call by value. This function swap or interchange the values of two variables. The name of the function is swap. It takes two parameters is of integer type and the name of the parameter is A and B. The return type of this function is void. It means this function is not returning any kind of value. In the body of the function, we declare another variable is of integer type temp. With the help of temp variable, we interchange the value of A and B. If here we display the value of A and B. When we call this function using by main, swap function is called. Here we pass two values 10, 30. It is of integer type because the swap function takes two integer parameters. When this function is called, it shows output on the screen. It shows interchange or swap value of A and B on the screen. But the changes made by call by value is temporary. If we want to display A and B variable value in the main, then the values are remain same because the changes are made temporary. Next, call by reference. Call by reference is the method in C where we call the function with the passing address as argument. We pass the address of the memory blocks which can be further stored in a pointer. variable that can be used in the function. Now, changes performed in the values inside the function can be directly reflected in the main memory. Here, we show this using call by reference. We make a swap function, but this time the parameter is of two integer pointers, int pointer A and int pointer B. In the body of the function, we take a temporary variable. With the help of temporary variable, we swap the values of A and B variables. We call this function in main. When we call this function in main, then in the parameters, now here we passing address of A and address of B. Call by reference changes or interchange values permanently, because here the changes made by call by reference are permanent. Function return type. Function return type tells what type of value is returned after all function is executed. When we don't want to return a value, we can use the void data type. Int FUNC in bracket में in between of brackets we use parameter 1 and parameter 2 and it is ending by semicolon. The above function will return an integer value after running a statement inside the function. Function arguments. Function arguments, also known as function parameters, are the data that is passed to a function. Here, we make a function name function underscore name. It returns integer type value and it takes two parameters of integer type. Types of function according to argument and return values. We can make function in four ways. Number one, function with argument and return values. Number two, function with arguments and no return values. Number three, function with no arguments and with return value. Function with arguments and no return value. Number one, function with arguments and return values. Here, first we declare the function. The name of the function is FuncTion function. It takes one parameter is of integer type and it returns integer value. Let me discuss with the help of example. We make area of circle. We make a function for area of circle. The name of the function is area underscore circle, area underscore circle. It receives one parameter is of integer type and it returns decimal value. So the parameter is of float type. In between of parentheses, we declare a decimal variable, float AOC. We calculate the area of circle, 3.14 into radius equals AOC and return this value. In main function, we call this function area underscore circle. Here we pass an integer value R and receives the result in area variable. When we print this value, it shows the area of circle on the screen, that is 50.24. Next, function with arguments but no return value. When a function has arguments, it receives any data from the calling function, but it returns no values. These are void functions with no return values. Here, function declaration, void function, it takes one parameter int, but it it did not return any value. So the return type is of void. Function call. When we call this function, we are not using any return type. Function definition. In this section, we define the working of the function. For example, we make a function called area underscore circle. This time, this function takes one parameter, but it didn't return any value. So the return type is of void. Here, we define the working of this function. We calculate area of circle and we print the area of circle, and result is an AOC variable. Once we come in main, we call this function area underscore circle and pass the parameter named R is of integer type. Third one, function with no argument and no return value. When a function has no arguments, it doesn't receive any data from the calling function. Similarly, when it does not return a value, the calling function does not receive any data from the called function. Function declaration void function means in between of parentheses, we are not using any parameter because this function takes no parameter and it returns no value. So the return type of this function is void. In function call, we are simply call the function, and in the function definition section, we define the working of the function. Here, we discuss this with the help of example area of circle. Now, we make a function area underscore circle. This time, this function doesn't receive any parameter and it doesn't return any value. So the return type of is of void. We calculate area of circle here and we call this function in main. And it shows the output of this area of circle is on the screen, that is 50.24. Last one, function with no argument but returns a value. There could be occasion where we may need to design functions that may not take any argument but returns a value to the calling function. Here in function declaration section, we declare function. This time function brackets is blank, means this function takes no parameter but it returns integer value. In function calling section, we call the function, and in function definition section, we define the working of the function. Here, we make the area of circle program using function. This time, this function does not take any parameter, but it returns value. And the return type of this function is float because this function returns decimal value. Int radius equal to 4, void AOC. Here we calculate area of circle and the result is an AOC variable. Return AOC. We call this function in main, area underscore circle. This function doesn't need it takes any parameter, but returns value. So we receive the value in AOC variable and the output is in AOC variable. So when we print this value on the screen, it shows 50.24. And last, recursion. Recursion is the process of a function calling itself repeatedly till the given condition is satisfied. A function that calls itself directly or indirectly is called a recursive function, and such kind of function calls are called recursive calls. Here we make a recursive function for factorial. Here first we declare a function named fact. It receives one integer value and it returns integer value. In main, we call this function fact. We pass the integer value and it returns. The result is an f variable. When we comes in function section or body of the function section, here we make the body of the fact function, or we declare the working of the fact function. In fact, it takes one integer parameter. In this, first we check if n equal to 0, it means it returns 0. If then we check if n equal to 1, then it returns 1. Otherwise, this function called itself in this function return n into fact in between of brackets n minus 1. Here we use recursion. This function recursively called itself. Here we shows the output of the screen. If we provide a 5 number for factorial, so it prints factorial of 5 is 120. Thank you so much.